There's a reason the Vikings conquered half the known world, while most men cowered behind wooden walls. And it wasn't superior weapons. It wasn't better ships. It was something they understood about the human mind that's been deliberately buried by modern weakness culture. Something that once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I'm about to hand it to you. But first, let me make something clear. Fear is not the enemy. That's the lie they've been feeding you. The Vikings didn't waste their lives trying to erase fear or pretend it didn't exist. They did something far more dangerous, far more powerful. They weaponized it. They treated fear as intelligence, not a disability. And that single reframe created a level of mental dominance most modern men will never taste. If you've ever felt anxiety tightening your chest like iron bands, if you've ever felt your thoughts spiral into paralysis, if you've ever watched other men move with certainty while you second-guess everything, stay with me. Because what you're about to hear is not motivational garbage. This is a psychological warfare system forged in a world where hesitation meant a blade in your ribs. A world where men learned to master their inner chaos long before they mastered the battlefield. And by the end of this transmission, you'll understand exactly how to apply this ancient protocol to reclaim control of your mind. Here's what they don't want you to know. The Viking Rule of Fearlessness begins with a truth so simple, it's been hidden in plain sight. Fear is a signal, not a sentence. When a Viking felt fear crawling up his spine before battle, he didn't interpret it as weakness or failure. He saw it as his nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do: sharpen his awareness, flood his muscles with energy, prepare his mind for violence or survival. Fear was a weapon in his arsenal, not a curse on his bloodline. And because he understood this, fear never owned him. Think about that. Fear as a tool, not something to fix, not something to medicate, a tool. Modern anxiety, it comes from a fundamental misunderstanding. You've been taught to fight fear, to suppress it, to shame yourself for feeling it, to hide it behind fake confidence and desperate scrolling. The Vikings didn't do that. They accepted fear as part of the human condition. They accepted that the world was violent, unpredictable, and utterly indifferent to their survival. And instead of collapsing under that crushing reality, they built their entire psychology around it. They believed in weird, the concept that fate would unfold as it must, that certain events were woven into the fabric of existence itself. But here's the edge. While they couldn't control fate, they controlled their response to it. That belief removed the impossible pressure to control everything. It freed them from the constant mental static that's destroying you right now. The obsessive planning, the catastrophic thinking, the endless what-ifs that keep you frozen. Now, if you're still here, you're already separating yourself from the herd. You're someone who wants real discipline, not discipline theater. You want strength that shows up when everything's falling apart, not just when you're in the gym. You want boundaries that people respect without you having to explain them. You want emotional control that makes you dangerous to manipulate. You want an identity that's unshakable. You want to lead your life with precision and purpose, not stumble through it reacting to whatever chaos the world throws at you. That's exactly what this channel is built for. This is the Brotherhood. And if what I'm saying is resonating in your chest right now, if you feel like you've finally found someone speaking your language, hit subscribe. Because this is just the entrance to a much deeper path, and I need you walking it with us. We're building something most men are too weak to even understand, let alone join. Now let's go deeper into the protocol. The Viking approach to fearlessness wasn't theatrical. It wasn't about war cries or chest pounding or pretending to be some Hollywood version of invincible. It was quiet. It was cold. It was internal. A Norse warrior learned to sit with discomfort until it lost its teeth. He learned to control his breathing while chaos erupted around him. He learned to act with precision even when his hand shook, even when his heart hammered against his ribs like it wanted to escape. That is real courage, not the absence of fear, but the absolute refusal to let fear make your decisions. Let me tell you something about the berserkers, the most feared warriors in Viking culture. Everyone thinks they were just rage-fueled maniacs. Wrong, dead wrong. The berserkers understood something about neurochemistry that modern psychology is only now rediscovering. They induced a specific state of consciousness through ritual, breathwork, and mental conditioning. They learned to ride the wave of their body's stress response instead of drowning in it. They transformed cortisol and adrenaline from panic into precision. You can do the same thing right now, today. The Vikings also understood something your therapist won't tell you. The mind calms when the body moves. They didn't freeze. They didn't ruminate. They stepped forward. They took action. They broke the paralysis of overthinking by doing the next necessary thing. When you move with purpose, anxiety loses its chokehold. When you act despite the fear, you're literally rewiring your neural pathways. Fear becomes fuel. Hesitation becomes momentum. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Another pillar of their fearlessness came from identity. A Viking knew exactly who he was. He knew what he stood for. He knew the code he lived by. His personal laws that were more sacred than any king's decree. When you have a crystallized identity, fear has nowhere to nest. Anxiety thrives in confusion. It feeds on people who don't know what they believe, who they are, or what they're willing to bleed for. But when you have a code, your own immovable set of principles, decisions become surgical, boundaries become automatic, and fear becomes irrelevant. Stop for a second and think about this. If you had a personal code right now, your own set of non-negotiable rules, how much of your daily anxiety would evaporate simply because you no longer had to negotiate with yourself every single morning? How much energy would you reclaim that you're currently burning on indecision and self-doubt? This is why Viking psychology is so devastatingly effective. It's not about violence for violence's sake. It's not about toxic aggression or posturing. It's about clarity. It's about knowing exactly who you are, what you stand for, and how you respond when life comes at you with teeth bared. The Vikings had a concept called drengr, the quality of being a true warrior. But it didn't mean what you think. Drengr meant reliability. It meant being someone others could count on when everything went to hell. It meant emotional control under pressure. It meant keeping your word even when it cost you. That's the warrior psychology we're resurrecting here. If this message is hitting you like a hammer to the chest, if you feel like you've been wandering in the dark and just found a torch, stay with me. This channel is building something that doesn't exist anywhere else. A brotherhood of men who want strength without arrogance, discipline without cruelty, and purpose without the chaos of modern masculine confusion. If that resonates in your bones, subscribe now and become part of this growing tribe of modern warriors. We're just getting started, and I need soldiers, not spectators. Let's bring this home. I think you're starting to understand me. The core of the Viking Rule of Fearlessness is this: fear is not your enemy. Your reaction to fear determines everything. When fear rises in your chest, when anxiety starts its familiar crawl up your spine, acknowledge it. Don't fight it. Don't shame it. Breathe into it. Then step forward anyway. Act with clarity and purpose despite the tremor in your hands. Remember this: courage is not a feeling, it's a decision. It's a choice you make in the moment when everything in you wants to retreat. The Vikings understood that the warrior's path isn't about never feeling fear. It's about feeling fear and moving forward with such conviction that fear becomes just another piece of data, another sensation in the body, another voice you don't have to obey. This is your inheritance. This is the psychology your ancestors knew, and it's time to reclaim it. Welcome to Warrior Psychology. Welcome to the Brotherhood. We're just getting started. Most people stop here. That's the difference. What you just heard is the surface. What comes next is the structure behind it. If you're looking for comfort, this isn't it. But if you're building discipline, clarity, and control, choose your next step here. Subscribe if you're staying. Otherwise, walk away now.